as a boy? Like, what kind of age would we need to start seeking medical help?
First of all, I think you have to think about the social transitioning per se. So can I ask you, is she now dressing as a boy and calling herself a male pronoun? So she's suggesting that she has a name at school that is male, so she's identifying as a male already?
She doesn't really understand pronouns. Everyone automatically calls her he anyway. People who don't know her call her he. That's just how she carries herself. Ever since she's, she wears boys' clothes. She wears the boys' clothes to school, but it's just never been an issue.
So firstly, it's brilliant that that's how you apply your parenting, because children who come from parents who just allow them to be whoever they are, they're the children who grow up with a mental well-being that's positive, okay? So number one, that's brilliant. Secondly, it depends whether you want to have that conversation with your child about how they identify. It could be that your child kind of identifies with both, which is more the, as we were talking earlier, the non-binary, for example. So they're kind of not conforming to either gender. However, if your child is saying, I want to be whatever, boy's name that they choose to be, you can talk to the school about a social transitioning programme. You can talk to your parent, your own support network, your family, to look at weekends, for example, where he becomes that permanently on the weekends, and then you can integrate that with school's help. The most important thing to remember is, when it comes down to the medical side of things, you need to have the right support network around you. So first of all, your GP, then ideally a referral to somewhere like the Tavistock Clinic. Also, there's a brilliant charity. Do you know Mermaids Online?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Mermaids are really, really helpful, and every single question that you could ask me, they will have aeons of information about, but also they're a really supportive community full of parents who have gone through this issue, started actually by a parent who themselves went through this particular issue. So it's one of those places that you can ground a lot of these kind of questions and get the right advice. But when it comes down to blockers, when it comes down to hormonal issues, they're things that you're going to have a wider conversation with your medical practitioner a little bit further down the lane. The big issue is, do we make a choice to enable our child to identify how they feel they wish to identify? And at this point, if you're saying they're a boy, then if you follow that route, it's about speaking to the school and the education provider to ensure that they can transition in a way that's safe for them. Absolutely. Look, one of the things I want to say to you is your daughter stroke son identifies as non-binary. That means that they have not made an absolute decision about whether they even have a gender. They might feel on one day girly and paint their nails. They might feel on another day something that conforms to more of a male stereotype and have the head shaved. The point is that they're not identifying strongly with either. So actually what could be a real help is for you to stop feeling afraid. And I know that's really easy for me to say sat here, but stop being afraid of what your child is saying that they need, and instead accept that right now, whatever it is that they desire, name or otherwise, pronoun or otherwise, if you support them, and this is one thing I would say to you, you're a loving mother who cares about her child. The statistics for children who are allowed to go through a process of identifying however they choose and are given the support at home and ideally in the educational establishment, their rates of suicide and self-harm are comparable with the average population, as in those who identify as binary. That's a big message to us as parents. Support your child, irrespective of whether you think this is a trend or irrespective if this becomes something that's more permanent, because what you can absolutely contain is their mental health and well-being, and that's down to allowing them to express themselves. Binary, non-binary, LGBT orientated or otherwise, it's about them being who they are as a human being.
Life.
I think one of the things that you need to do as a parent, one of the things you could do is get some support online from other parents in this situation who's been through this process, because feeling that you're not alone and recognising that children and young people these days, they have a much more ability to see what's out there and to recognise that they might identify with those things that we find different. That's actually something we celebrate, because it